Hello and welcome to another edition of, there we go. Hello and welcome to another edition of Vinyl Night. I'm your LACC, lazy ass content creator, Johnny C. Tonight's episode, the inner sleeve, particularly the subgenre Columbia Records, the early 70s. Before we get rolling on that, it is part of the LA in LACC casual wear today, so it'll be casual wear day today, very casual. Also, I have to take my glasses off because it's going to be a little bit that. Plus, there's going to be no glare going on here until I start, putting stuff up. So the glasses are going to go because it's going to make it easier for me to read everything that's going on here because there will be some reading involved. And remember, reading is fundamental. So let us get rolling with what this is all about, the inner sleeve. But before we do get to that, let's take a look at Bob Dylan, the illustrated record. Of course, there is no record in here, but I kind of wonder if maybe Columbia Records wasn't a little bit in cahoots with the author of this book here. This was copyrighted 1978, but there's an awful lot of photos in here from album covers. Self-portrait, Nashville skyline. And of course, there is a little thing on what was probably going on around that time, but there's an awful lot of Columbia Records, John Wesley Harding, Highway 61 Revisited. So it almost makes me wonder if Columbia Records maybe didn't have their fingers dipped into this illustrated record, Bob Dylan. So, of course, I took a look at my Bob Dylan records, and I could not find the inner sleeve that I was looking at or looking for to really pertain to this segment, which I should get around to quickly here. Of course, most people might be familiar with the inner sleeve. Usually, a lot of times, the inner sleeve would have other artists that were on the label of the record, of the person and band you just bought. Dean Martin on here, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. Oh, I'm pointing at Don Ho, but I said Dean Martin. Dean Martin is down there. Although their styles are somewhat similar voice-wise in the way they kind of did stuff, kind of that crooning kind of stuff. I did see Don Ho, and I have this record autographed. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So a couple of these records I own. Arlo Guthrie was on there, Alice's Restaurant. That might be a typical inner sleeve. There's this one here. This was Aretha Franklin, just called Aretha. This inner sleeve, little artwork on there, words, lyrics, to the songs, musicians on the record. This one I got at the thrift store, and when I look at them at the thrift store, I'm looking at it and going, oh, is this warped? Maybe I didn't have my glasses off at the time when I was looking at it, or actually maybe I had my glasses on. Either way, when I got it home, put it on, and it was warped. So, now it's a potato chip bowl. But I would save inner sleeves from them for the next occasion if I bought myself a record from the charity shop that didn't have an inner sleeve in it. I'd, save some of these and reuse, recycle, reuse. So let's get on to the actual inner sleeve. As I was talking about, this is a Ball and Jack record on Columbia Records, and this was put out, 1970? And in the early 70s, what they would do on the inner sleeve is actually have the inner sleeve. So this was basically little blurbs about some of the artists that were on the recordings. Here's Sweat Hog, here's Weather Report, here's Johnny Cash. You might get a little thing like this on there that is talking about the birth and death of the Fillmore East. You flip it on the other side, and there's some more inner sleeve writings, and here's maybe, here's the birth and death of Igor Stravinsky, the greatest composer of our time. And I'm looking at that, and I was thinking, man, that picture of, here goes my album cover, that picture of Igor Stravinsky looks pretty new, and for some reason or another, I'm thinking Igor Stravinsky it is classical music, but I'm thinking, back in Bach and Beethoven times, or maybe at least later than that. I don't know why I mean, look at him. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette, with a pretty fancy looking photo there. This doesn't look like, born 1882, died 71. So, Jesus, he was almost 100 years old. But I long story short, I just never thought of him as being into the 20th century. Oh, and here's our little, it's the Columbia, yeah, it's the Columbia Records B&A&R rip. This little thing here, that's kind of cool. I never did send in these things from the record companies, but for a paltry $3, you could send it in to them, and they would send you, what it says here is a 7-inch 33 1/3 RPM sampler record. And I guess they would, send you a few of those during the year, and they just want to know what you thought about, the artists that were on these records. Never did do it. Never really noticed those records out and about. Of course, then again, I'm shopping thrift store and rummage sales. Don't really like to do much online. I'll have to take a look for them sometime. So, yeah. By the way, this album, Ball and Jack, these guys were a horn band from the West Coast. Similar to Chicago, of course, but maybe a little on the funkier side. So, speaking of Chicago, here is, of course, the Chicago Transit Authority. And of course, this being an LACC, we're not going to get into the story of why Chicago had to drop it to Chicago. I'm sure there could be a story just in itself on why they had to drop the Transit Authority. But in this one, the inner sleeve, this side, the same kind of thing. Al Cooper, Full Circle, question and answer with Al Cooper. Of course, he was on the Columbia label. Willie Dixon. Here we go again with another A&R advisor. $3. Send it in. They want to get you. They're putting it on their records here. And of course, one of their little blurbs on this one is that little thing there with Grandma. It says it's the top 3 most frequently sung songs in English, and they are Happy Birthday to You, for He's a Jolly Good Fellow, and Auld Lang Syne. And of course, that picture there of Grandma is Miss Patty Hill, composed the music for Happy Birthday to You. So not only are they shilling for you, not only are they asking, well, we're going to send you some records for cheap, just tell us what you think. They're giving you fun facts. But on this side, we have color posters. And once again, another one of these things where I just never ever did send in for some of these things that, it'd be cool to have them left around. The posters were only $1.50. And I believe that covered even, I don't see anything, postage and handling was included in the price. So you could get Johnny Winter, Santana, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Johnny Cash. They even had some album jigsaw puzzles. Oh, those were $2 though, but I don't recall seeing an album jigsaw puzzle. Excuse me, itchy nose here. I'll have to check online sometime on the old eBay to see. Speaking of eBay, they sell these inner sleeves all by their lonesome on eBay, and it looks like the average price for them is like $10. So not only are they selling the records now, but they're selling the inner sleeve. So hey, extra special bonus there. Up the price of that vinyl, man. So yeah, would have been cool to order some of these things here. And of course we have Chicago right there. And if I was really not a lazy ass content creator, what I would have done is coordinated all of these inner sleeves and their pictures here with I did with this one. And this one is from that Chicago album that was available as a poster. So I look in this Chicago album, and is there an inner sleeve? No. Instead, it's kind of one of the typical things that maybe you might have found. It's here's how records give you more what you want. Best for less, selectivity of songs and tracks, top quality and sound, and then uninterrupted listening pleasure. Well, yeah. If you have an automatic changer, though, it's telling you, relax the automatic changer, but you still got to flip it over. They're attractive, informative, and easy to store. Easy to store, well, yeah. But attractive and informative, that will come back in the resurgence 50 years later, won't it? It'll come back 50 years later, tactile. You get to touch it. You get to read all about it. Anyway, so there you go. Makes a great gift. It always happens first on records. But remember, here's the Chicago record, and on the other side of this one, once again, they're wanting to sell you posters, but they're country and western super posters. Still $1.50 each. I guess Johnny Cash. He's on the Columbia label. So there we go. We have items like that, and of course we have a little bit of a newer inner sleeve, I guess you could say. This is well, I guess I shouldn't say a newer. This is from 10 years after Space and Time. Maybe they started changing things around because, well, I'll show you in a second. This is 10 years after Space and Time. What, 1970, 71, somewhere in that range. This inner sleeve, now we have an editor listed on this one. I guess they probably figured, oh man, we're doing this for a little bit now. We might as well have somebody that's dedicated full time to it, or at least a good portion maybe of his time was dedicated to it, to write all these things up for the inner sleeve. The guy's probably thinking, hey, well, there's even a designer on here now. Maybe they're thinking hey, how about a little credit for putting a little bit of effort in here, how about a little something for the effort? So a little bit of credit here. The Blue Oyster Cult on here, Springsteen. Over on this side we have Nicky Hopkins, a little thing along on him, Miles Davis, Ramsey Lewis, and they're still wanting you to be a member of their little exclusive A&R listening club. We'd like to borrow your ears. Hey, can I borrow your ears? So yeah, it's all kind of a nifty little thing going on here. And here we have the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and there they are, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. So not everything was LACC. I did happen to find that Mahavishnu Orchestra album. And of course, when I'm when I'm looking at it, picked it up, pulled it out, there's no darn inner sleeve in there. Now, there is a possibility that maybe this one didn't have an inner sleeve when I first bought it, but I don't know. Maybe there was just a plain inner sleeve in there. But oh wait, it's not. It's vinylnight.weebly.com for the finest in the blog version of Vinyl Night on YouTube, Vinyl Night on Johnny Sees TV YouTube. You can get the blogosphere version at vinylnight.weebly.com, and of course that's related to LACC because this is free. I'd probably have to put a little more effort into something if it wasn't free. So there you have it. Mahavishnu Orchestra. I can't remember what year that was. So maybe there should have been maybe there should have been. Maybe there should. Oh, this is 73. So maybe they quit doing it then. I don't know. Regardless, speaking of things that maybe you don't know. So this was an inner sleeve item that isn't really related to the inner sleeve, but it's still interesting nonetheless. One day, actually not that long ago, I picked up an album from the thrift store charity shop, and this happened to be in there. Something from a newspaper, the newspaper here, the Journal Times, from Racine, Wisconsin, and it has Americans Free. This is from 1981. So this was folded up. I didn't notice when I took the record out. I didn't notice that this was in there. Excuse me, till I brought it home and took a look here. Yep, Ronald Reagan. Oh, take a look there. A nice big full page ad for Marlboro Lights. You know, trying to cut back on that nicotine. Let's do the Marlboro Lights. Better for you. So it was interesting to take a little blurb at some of the things in here. Here's a nice full page ad for Goldblatt's, the best bargains in town. What was kind of funny here, though, is here's a 19-inch color TV, regularly $498 down to $479 for a So I guess not everything went up in price from then. You know, some of these things are, you know, it's like here's outerwear, $7 to $42. Anyway, it's supposed to be the inner sleeve, but sometimes you just never know what you will find. Was somebody using this as an inner sleeve? I don't think they were. I think they just shoved it in there. As a reminder, funny. I'm trying to think of. LACC. I should have remembered. I can't remember what album I got it out of and whether or not it made any difference or not. See, think of these things later. So finally, last not least, to the inner sleeve. I don't know if this counts or not in a way, but I did find this one and I thought, okay, it's related. But this was the album. It's a John Mayall double album, Back to the Roots. And this, though, is on Polydor Records. So, Polydor. So when I opened this one and took a look, I found, well, I'll get to it. Let's get to this one. 2-record set. This one is from Capitol Records. So I can't remember if I did this. Like I said earlier, where I had an older sleeve. This didn't have a sleeve, so I just put it in one that I had. Or if this might have been in there. Anyway, this is Capitol. They have their artists on here, Capitol Records. Beatles, Yesterday and Today. Take a look at that cover. What do we see about that cover, boys and girls? So anyway, that was there. But semi-related, and maybe this will have to be the next addition to what's going on here. I found Epic Undercover. So Epic was related to Columbia Records, a subsidiary. So, they're related. Epic, but I did not know that they had an Epic Undercover, so I'll have to take a look at my Epic releases to see if I can find me a few Epic Undercovers. Here we have Nils Lofgren and Grin, Jeff Beck Group, Sly and the Family Stone. A lot of times when I would, take these records out, you got something to read here, and then you would always think, oh man, I wonder if maybe I wouldn't mind getting Jeff Beck Group Rough and Ready, or I have some Nils Lofgren and Grin, but not that record. There's an interesting one here. Of course, they're still selling their stuff. Here's a Chase record. Another horn band. They must have liked them horn bands at Columbia. Somebody must have enjoyed listening to the horns. But this one is a little article because it's a quadraphenic, quadraphonic record. So they're giving you, the little blurb here on why you should buy yourself quadraphonic. For all you audiophiles, you know who you are. Anyway, and of course they still have their little thing on the bottom there. They still want you to become a Columbia Records A&R representative. $3, and you get some music for a year. Not only that, on a 7-inch 33 1/3 RPM record. Wow. So there you have it. It's the scoop. It's the skinny. It's the the next time, Epic Undercover. It's the inner sleeve. Where'd they all go? It's the inner sleeve. There you have it. What more is there to say? I guess not much, except good night.